That's right. You are not going crazy. This is me, Brendan Martin, with the hat on, and him, Frank Duffy. Is it Junior? Is it Frank Duffy Jr.? Do I get it wrong? I'm
This
sorry. I don't
Frank
know.
Duffy.
Okay, I don't know. It says Wilton Martin Jr. My dad's a junior, so I think respect. Welcome to Gold to Go broadcast. I know it's weird to see Gator stuff in the background. I'm just the host here on Sidelines.live. We're a podcast network, and we're endeavoring to extend our knowledge to our friends who are in the Southeastern Conference. And one of those gentlemen right here, we didn't see the podcast last week, is Mr. Frank Duffy. He knows all things LSU, all things that you need to know about this upcoming matchup this week. Nussmeier being healthy, South Carolina coming into town. Always you're talking about the good was it the good neighborly, or how do you explain about hurricanes? And you guys always seem to look out for one another in that aspect. Welcome to your own show, Frank. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. The second Gold to Go show, and I'm coming to you from a beautiful balcony here in New Orleans. Just a perfect fall day. Going to be heading up to Baton Rouge tomorrow for the game between the Gamecocks and the Tigers. And you're right, we have a unique, special relationship between the University of South Carolina and LSU. We've been there for each other during natural disasters. There have been two hurricanes that have hit our two respective areas, and the other team has had to host that game. And what's very unique about it, and a great show of sportsmanship and SEC camaraderie, the Gamecocks, when they hosted us for an LSU home game in Williams-Brice, actually learned our alma mater, learned our fight
I
song.
love that.
It was really cool, very cool, and it's very classy. And then we returned the favor when there was a hurricane about to hit South Carolina, and the game had to be moved from there down to LSU. We were able to return the favor. So there's not really a rivalry. Other games are big rivals like Alabama and even our Florida LSU rivalry, our constant crossover rivalry from all those years. But this is a more of a game of friendship, if you will, between the two programs. And I will tell you, it was a fantastic game last year. I was in Williams-Brice. We had a big group that went up. We had some friends of ours from Charlotte that we bust down to the game. It was an exciting game. I think if Lenora Sellers doesn't go down in that game, I think they beat us. They had us handily. And it took a field goal to go wide left for us to come out of that game with a win. So now you fast forward to this year. LSU needs a win. I mean, after losing to Ole Miss 2 weeks ago, and we really looked bad on the offensive line. We were letting a three-man rush get in on Nussmeier. Nussmeier looked really immobile. From what I'm hearing, Coach Kelly said that he actually finally looks like he's got the arm strength that he had from last year, which tells me that I think he's finally over this abdominal, this core, this oblique injury that he had, which made him very tentative. So if he's got the arm strength, the kid is an NFL-style passer. So I think you might start seeing a much better play on LSU on offense. The problem is we are still without Mubenga, one of the offensive linemen. That's going to hurt. We've got to open up the running game. But I'm also hearing that Caden Durham is now upgraded to probable. More than likely he'll play, and Aaron Anderson, our wide receiver, it sounds like he's going to get playing time as well. And LSU's got to move the ball. We just did not move the ball enough against Ole Miss, and that caused our defense to be out there way too long. And look, our defense is playing great ball, but you can't be out there. Lane Kiffin had 85 plays of offense to our 50. You can't win a ball game in the SEC like that. So I think it's going to be critical that Nussmeier gets back. He's got to be able to stretch the defense, get them off the line of scrimmage so that it can open up our run game. We're still 15th ranked in the conference, if not 16th, and in running the football. And, in the SEC, you got to be able to control the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be critical in this game. So that's what I'm looking for, Brendan. I'm looking for more offense. I'd like our defense to play well. They got to keep containment. They didn't do that against Ole Miss. They converted many third downs, and again, in this league, if you can't run the ball and you don't stop the opponent on third down, you ain't winning games.
No, you're not. And let's be honest, like you're facing a South Carolina team, like a lot of SEC teams, that's not as good as we thought they were And you're not. It's not Ole Miss, right? I think that is going to bode well. I think Ole Miss is pretty good, and I think Lane Kiffin's pretty good.
But I think Lenora Sellers is now healthy and as well, and they had a good game last week.
Mhm.
They really did, and so I'm expecting this to be a tighter game. I think the spread is way too high at 10.5.
10 and a
You know,
half, yeah.
yeah, I mean that's a big number. Right now, it started at 9.5, went up to 10.5. And look, LSU, we handled your Gators, but that was because Lagway handed us 5 interceptions. I don't see that from Lenora Sellers this game. I just don't. I think it's going to be a closer game. I think we could see a 3-point, 6-point spread at the
You
end,
think it's going to be
one way or
that
the other.
close? You really
Yeah,
think it?
yeah,
Really?
I do. I do because, watching that game last year, look, South Carolina really beat us. If Sellers doesn't go down in the second quarter, I don't think we come back and win that ball game. So
No.
I think LSU wins the ball game. I think we'll have enough, but I just don't see it going past double digits. I just don't.
All right. Well, you mentioned Lenora Sellers.
Yep.
You talked about briefly about offensive line play.
Mm-hmm.
You've got one down. I forgot his name.
Yeah, Mubanga is
Sorry, Mubanga. But what position is he? Is he a
yeah, he's a guard, and
guard?
then
Right?
our and
Is
then
he
our
right guard or left guard?
he last game I saw him, I think he was playing left guard. But
Yeah.
our offensive line has been a patchwork and moving back and forth. We've had 3 offensive linemen go out at one part or another, and that's why we're not getting consistent play up front, and that's why you're seeing 3-man rushes not only get to Nussmeier. Nussmeier is incredibly immobile because, again, I think it's his oblique, his abdomen injury. He was just not mobile back there. I mean, literally, he was like a
Yeah.
statue, and I think that's caused some problems. But the big problem is LSU's not being able to run the ball, and
Right.
we weren't able to run it last year. And we thought, okay, now we've lost 2 of our All-American tackles to the NFL last year. We knew it was going to be a lot harder. And the one thing, Brendan, as you know, when you pick up guys in the transfer portal, the one segment of your team that you have to have cohesion, you have to have teamwork, it's got to be on that offensive line. You can bring skill players in, a running back or a D back, and they're basically playing on skill.
Yeah.
You've got to have an offensive line that can work in concert. And LSU has just not had that. And when you're not running the ball, then you're going to have 7 guys, 8 guys dropping back into coverage. And that's why it's been harder for LSU to move the ball on offense. And when you're getting out, having more plays, 35 in a game more for Lane Kiffin. And look, you give that mad genius on offense
Mhm.
35 more cracks to gain yardage against you. That's what you are. But look, we still had a shot. If we stopped that 4th down on at the 40-yard line at under 2 minutes to go, we would have had a minute and 45 to, even though with no timeouts, but we could have gone down and actually won the ball game.
Mm.
But when your defense is gassed when it's out there for 85
Well, yeah.
plays, you're going to lose the guy on 4th and 4 and he's wide open. So,
Yeah.
but I think
They'll break you back in the second half.
No doubt.
And you can't, it just can't, you can't. And look, that's, I think if you're even a casual fan of college football, I think you understand the fact that this next man up concept that's always sort of been in SEC football is sort of not losing its stride. It's just that there's so much parity, right? And I think we see that parity on the offensive and defensive line. Young kids out there, you want to play football, learn to be a right guard or a left tackle. Like, go understand the nuances of offense actually from the offensive lineman perspective, because that's really where it's all won. And we see that play out every week in the SEC.
Yeah.
And I think now we're seeing a lot of that because Florida struggles a little bit, with line.
Yep.
You lose 1 or 2 of those key positions there. Offense, it's just like losing a quarterback or a great running back. You can't protect your guy, and in the SEC, they're coming for blood.
Yeah,
so your guy's going to get hurt.
You lose that coordination, you lose that orchestration, and you're exactly right. And the problem now for almost every SEC team, our 2nd and 3rd string are playing 1st string at another college.
Mhm.
That's what's happening. That's why there's a dearth of depth, and you're seeing that from not only our team but up and down the conference. But look, that's a problem that everybody's had. You got to make do, and you got to bring these underclassmen up, and on the offensive line, we're just not getting it done. And there's no excuses at this point. We're at game 6 in this schedule. We're at the halfway mark. You got to figure it out by now. And look, the one thing about Kelly, and I do like this about him, is if he does see there's a problem, he will adjust. I had a problem with him at Ole Miss not bringing in Van Buren because Nussmeier was so restricted and he was getting such a rush. But well, from what I'm hearing, and again, I'm hearing it from inside sources. I'm not saying it's Baton Rouge Confidential, but I'm hearing that finally his core is healed enough to where he's getting velocity on the passes that he could make in his sleep, last year. And if that's the case, then I think you're going to see a much different LSU offense. But I still don't think they run away and hide from South Carolina. South Carolina, again, they're as tough as a $3 steak. I love Shane Beamer, though he did catch some heat with the LSU fans when he said, we're trying to practice crowd noise and what the atmosphere is going to be like. And he goes, it's really hard to simulate what 100,000 probably drunk Louisianans sound like. And I didn't take offense that he called us drunks. I just got offended when he used the word probably. I can assure you there will be 100,000 bourbon-induced fans in Tiger Stadium. You can bet that, brother. Well, hey, look, I'm getting ready to get my first old fashioned here at the St. Vincent in about an hour, so we'll be ready to go, buddy.
Yeah, it's not like you're offending anybody.
No,
I mean, it's like, well,
not.
tell me something I don't know. You're talking about Brian Kelly. He's got a pretty good record. I'd take his record over somebody else I know.
He's closing in on Saban for the all-time wins. I mean, he'll pass him. Look, here's the thing. I tell all my LSU buddies, relax. Brian Kelly ain't going anywhere.
No,
there's no way he's going anywhere in a buyout. You can't You can't pay 2 coaches to be down on 30A on the Redneck Riviera drinking margaritas and rum runners. We already got Coach O down there. Brian Kelly's not going anywhere. But it's critically important that he's got to figure out this offense because finally, again, every year that Brian's been here, either the defense has been exceptional, like it's been the last this year, and it started to get that way under our DC Blake Baker last year, who we got from Missouri. But in the first 2 years with Denbrock, our offense coordinator, before we lost him back to Notre Dame, which was a huge loss, and I knew it was going to be. People were, we'll be fine. No, Joe Sloan is not Denbrock.
No.
But we've had one side or the other. We've been a one-sided football team. What Brian Kelly must do is we're in this juggernaut stretch of South Carolina, who thinks Vanderbilt's going to be tough. Well, we got to go to Nashville. That's not going to be easy. Then we got A&M coming in and Alabama, which could be, with all due respect to Ole Miss, could be the 2 best teams playing in the conference we got coming up. So he's got to figure this out. We got to get something on offense. The defense is good enough to get us into the playoff and to get us to Atlanta. We got to get an offense to get back to scoring points because in this league, you're not winning games if you're only scoring in the teens.
Yeah, you're not. And I'll take a guy like Brian Kelly right now. He's a little bit, a little different right now is good, a little different thinking. I always like Les Miles, right? So
by the way, there is a little bit of Les Miles and Brian Kelly.
I totally feel that all day. And the way he calls plays too,
Yeah. I joked with my friends.
We didn't call the plays, but I mean,
Yeah, you've never seen Brian Kelly and Les Miles in the same room. It's like Superman and Clark Kent.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Uncle Les crazy in Brian Kelly.
There sure is. He's goofy, but whatever. Right now, you need a little unorthodox to thinking, I think, right now. And I'm just not convinced week in and week out because I see different levels of teams, right? Yeah. So I see Florida play out of their mind. By the way, if anybody if you're wondering about how to bet on this game this weekend, I'm gonna leave you a clue. Just look at Billy Napier's record on the road. All right. So anyway, just
under
take
15.
a peek. Yeah, just go ahead and pick it, and then you'll see how tough that game really is going to be. But I just think week in and week out, we see again the parity. but I'm not just convinced that, hey, Bama's just great this year and they're not going to go play it out. I'm not convinced that LSU is just ho-hum this year. I think this is what are they? This week we turn the page. This is a huge game for LSU. It has serious playoff implications because it's a conference game.
Yep.
This is kind of a must win if you want to keep your playoff hopes alive if you're an LSU fan.
Yep, you're exactly right. Can't lose two in the conference. That's why Bama's actually got a leg up because they lost out of conference to Florida State that first game. You cannot lose that second in conference game because you have no margin for error, and your future, your outcome is out of your hands.
That's right. Well, so the 10.5 is the line. Is that correct? Yeah. So 10.5. You're saying
I wouldn't touch
that one.
I wouldn't touch it, or I would take the 10.5.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. There's your. I'm gonna call it like the golden nugget or something like that. Or, like it's so good. But it's our 15 minutes with one of my favorite guys in the world, Frank. Thanks so much. We're doing this every Friday to the end of football season and maybe beyond. If you like it, check it out. You guys can always subscribe on all of our channels. This is all going to be a part of Sidelines.live, continuing umbrella in the South, expanding the umbrella
there you go.
into the SEC.
And if you've never come to a game in Louisiana, look at this beautiful setting that I'm sitting in.
I know.
You got to come down. But Brendan, whenever you're ready, you let me know. I'll get you set up with a great tailgate.
By the way, I'm Buddy Martin right here on this, and it's just kind of a tease because coming up on this channel in about 45 minutes is the Panhandle Gator Club podcast. Stay tuned. That'll be live. We're endeavoring to change backgrounds and stuff, but we are bringing you the best content anywhere online. Frank, I will come down. I do love New Orleans. I do love Louisiana. It is my favorite city in America to go down and enjoy the food and the people and everything else. Thank you so much for your time, and go Tigers.
Go Tigers, baby.
See? I can't believe I said that, but anyway, all right. Talk to you soon, Frank. Coming up next will be Buddy Martin and the Panhandle podcast for the Gator Club and the Panhandle up there in Pensacola. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.